Yo. Right.
We're going.
We're going.
Chapmen talk football.
Wow.
Numero uno.
It's been a long time coming. I mean, I guess we'll just start right in it.
Yeah.
All right, in it. I mean, we'll start with Arsenal. Seems like a good place to start considering we've got you here. You missed out on the title last season, Luke.
Yeah.
No. Let that sink in.
No, okay.
No, just think about that for a second. How long were you top of the league for before you missed out?
I don't know. It was a lot of days, wasn't it? Man City were only top for like 20 days or something.
It was a lot of days.
So
it was a lot of days.
Yeah, it's not what you want.
Why do you think you missed out on the title? Do you think it was to do with, a lot of people are saying it was to do with Saliba's injury towards the end of the season. A lot of people are saying your team was just too inexperienced. You didn't have the players for it. Some people think it seems to be a common thing with Arteta now. Why do you think it was?
I think it's a mix of the first two. I think losing Saliba and I suppose Jesus as well when he got injured, they were big hits. But yeah, I think as well it is an inexperienced squad. Like our most experienced player is probably fucking Jesus.
Yeah.
He's like 24, 25, and he was out all season.
4 Premier Leagues, hasn't he? Something like that. Yeah.
So
Well,
I think it's a bit of a mix.
Yeah. Well, what do you think you need then to win the league in terms if you, because obviously the goal will be to challenge next season again.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think you need to do in this transfer window or in the run up to next season to really challenge?
I think what we've done so far is perfect. To be fair, Justin Timber is it Justin Timber?
Jurian.
Jurian.
Yeah.
Never mind. Yeah, that's going to be a perfect signing. I think.
Perfect.
He slots in either at right back or at centre back.
Yeah, exactly. Like you had to play Holding.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as we brought Holding in, it wasn't great.
It's not
I
great.
don't mind him, but
yeah. Tomiyasu backing up White, he's fine, I suppose.
Yeah.
But if you've got someone like Timber there,
I don't know why we don't play Tomiyasu at centre back. To be honest,
it would make sense, especially with modern centre backs. You want them to be a bit quick when you're playing a high line.
I feel like he'd be better than Holding. I don't know why.
Yeah, it was weird the way that Arteta it's weird that he's kept him around. To be honest, I really thought Holding would have been gone by now, especially with your whole rebuild sort of thing. I mean, personally, I think it's a bit of a cop out to say it's just something to do with Arteta. To be honest, I think that's a bit of a cop out. A lot like people do it with managers like Brendan Rodgers. They say you just can't get over the finish line, whatever. And I think for some managers it is a big problem. But ultimately, this is Arteta's first couple of years of management.
Yeah, exactly. It's only his 4th season, and to say he's done that what he has in 4 years, it's a pretty decent.
It's impressive. Yeah. It's impressive. He's won the FA Cup. He's won the Community Shield, and he's challenged for the league in his 4th season, isn't it? Third full season, and he splashed 65 million on Havertz. I mean, possibly to replace Xhaka, you'd think.
Yeah, I think that's
where
the
we'll
rumour.
play.
Yeah, which I think he could play that role.
I think he can do it because he's really good at arriving in the box late. He's not a striker, and that's where Chelsea have been playing.
And that's where I think them players can sort of float. It's like similar to who Chelsea have signed, funnily enough. Nkunku, like I would play him at centre mid like a Xhaka role, or I'd play him as striker.
There's a great video by I think it's Statman Dave, and he was talking about like Kai Havertz, and he was analysing them, showing how that's where Arsenal score most of their goals. Sort of that inside left channel, because the right side is sort of the creative hub, where you've got like Saka, you've got Odegaard drifting there and stuff like that, and then you've sort of got Xhaka, Martinelli finishers, scoring those goals. You've got that attacking fullback on the left as well, and I think Havertz can genuinely do that really well, especially because Arteta's main strength is that he can work with young players.
Yeah, and I think as well he's done really well with the, like you were saying, the floating left back. When Zinchenko comes into that midfield, it becomes like Partey and Zinchenko, and that leaves Odegaard and Havertz to do whatever the hell they want. It almost becomes like that 4 in midfield, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And then Odegaard and Havertz are free to do literally whatever, make runs coming late in the box, like you were saying.
Yeah, you've got like a creative midfielder with Odegaard, and then you've got a second striker with Havertz,
exactly, pretty much.
And he's perfect for that. But with first strikers, you've got Balogun and Nketiah on the books, and I feel like one big decision you're going to have to make this season is who do you want to keep and who do you want to sell. If neither, do you want to sell both, you want to keep one, sell the other? Who do you think is better, to back up
It's
Jesus?
really tough because I can't say I've really watched Balogun, but obviously we know what he's done in the League One this year.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think.
I mean, Nketiah had a good stint last season when Jesus was injured.
I don't know. I think we give Balogun a go in pre-season. See how it goes, and then.
Yeah.
I don't know because I can't really decide. I think they're both on a pretty similar level.
I mean, one thing that I think we also need to consider is, will Balogun even be willing to stay?
Yeah, as well.
After
we
the
have
season he's
put
had,
the price tag on him, so we are open to selling him. We've put a minimum 35.
Minimum 35 million, which I think is reasonable, considering like Liverpool paid quite a bit for Darwin Núñez
the
after
asking
1 or 2
price is
seasons.
50 though, which is a bit crazy.
That is kind of mental, but there will be clubs in Europe who will pay that for Balogun. Like the Milan clubs are interested.
Yeah, both
Crystal
of them.
Palace are interested. They've been looking for a striker for ages. They've tried Mateta. They've tried Edouard. It's never really worked out for them.
IU as well.
IU, yeah, they've played him there. It doesn't seem to be working for Palace with strikers, and I think Balogun could be a really good long-term option. And speaking of long-term, Declan Rice is only, 23, 24?
Yeah.
100 million.
That is 100 mil. I mean, it does sound a bit too much, but I was saying this earlier. When you compare, 100 mil for Mudryk, Núñez, Anthony, the list goes on. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look too bad, to be honest, because
in this market, it doesn't look horrible at all.
and he is a Premier League proven midfielder. We know what he can do in the Premier League.
He's won something now.
Yeah, exactly. He's got he captained them to it as well.
Yeah, he makes your midfield so much better because it was stinky last time. You would have had to play without Xhaka, Partey and Jorginho next to each other. Doesn't really work out, but now you've got Rice and Havertz.
Exactly.
Revamped your whole
that's
midfield.
More progressive
Yeah.
going forward.
Yeah, way more progressive. And United have also revamped their midfield. And one thing that I did want to talk about, who do you think has the better midfield? Midfield three, assuming that the midfield threes are Rice, Havertz, and Odegaard, and Casemiro.
I think it's
Mount,
tough
and Bruno.
because we don't know how Rice, Odegaard, and Havertz working together yet. I think on paper it's tough, but I think you probably have to say Man United just because we know Casemiro, Bruno, and to be fair, we haven't seen Mount in there yet.
We haven't seen Mount play for us.
I think we know that Bruno and Casemiro make a good.
Bruno and Casemiro work well together. Whereas I think you're right with Arsenal's midfield. You've got no two midfielders who've worked together before, so it'll be really interesting to see how that works.
Xhaka and Partey complemented each other quite well because they both can do the same thing. So whenever one's going forward, the other's there, and vice versa.
It's hard to compare as well because it's almost Arsenal's midfield almost isn't actually Rice, Havertz, and Odegaard. It's almost Zinchenko and Rice, and then Havertz and Odegaard. So really, if you want to compare it like that, you've got to compare Casemiro, Mount, and Bruno to those four.
Yeah.
Because we play completely different football. I've got to say, man, I've got to have to stick up for Man United.
I think it's just on paper. I think you have to say Man United.
I think you have to say
United.
United.
I think it's close.
We've got someone who's won a ridiculous amount of Champions Leagues, has had a
I think
really good
Mount
first
and Havertz
season.
are quite a similar level, of achievements as well. You know what I mean? They both won the Champions League together.
They won the Champions League together. Yeah. I mean, Mason Mount as a signing, I think I'm really excited about it. I didn't think I would be, but Mount for 55 million is incredible.
Yeah, it's a decent move to be fair, considering we paid 65 for Havertz.
Yeah.
I mean, 55 for it with English tax as well. Bloody hell,
Yeah.
55 is a great
It just seems like people are being a bit sort of sneery towards Mason Mount. I've seen a lot of Man United fans say, "Oh, I don't want him here. He's a flop at Chelsea," stuff like that. He is such a great midfielder, and for what we want, we were playing Casemiro and Eriksen with Bruno.
Exactly, it's what you've been looking for with Sabitzer. Has he gone back now?
Sabitza's gone back now.
You were looking for it with Eriksen and Sabitzer.
We
You're clearly
tried
looking for that kind of
so
player.
many people there. Sabitzer, Fred, we even played McTominay there at one point. We just need someone who can pass like Eriksen, and we don't lose anything there, but someone who has the energy to run around a lot. That's literally it, and I think that's exactly what Mount offers. And I'm hoping Mount and Bruno can sort of bring the best out of each other. Because I think Bruno last season, best season he's ever had in Man United shirt in terms of how he's played. The numbers weren't necessarily there, but in terms of how he played, that was absolutely fantastic. I mean, Mason Mount as well. A lot of Chelsea fans on the other side, they didn't really like his goodbye video
Yeah,
stuff
there
like
was a
that.
lot of uproar about that.
A lot of that. They were reporting his Twitter account.
Oh, yeah.
Mass reporting his Twitter account. That was so like surreal. That a club, sort of a club cult hero, can just leave like that. Everyone can turn on him. And really, I think what they're failing to recognise is that the reason Mount's leaving is sort of Chelsea's fault.
Yeah.
You know, Todd
It's
Bowles.
clearly not being run well at all. They clearly didn't
not.
handle with the situation, like with
Yeah.
his contract situation. They put an offer on the table very late, I heard. So,
Yeah,
I
Mount
don't think they
wanted
dealt
to
with it
go.
very well.
And also, some of that plays into it as well. Is we're paying him ridiculous money. We're paying him 250 to 300 grand a week
Wow.
if reports are believed. So it's crazy what we're paying for them. We're in for Onana as well as a goalkeeper.
I think that. I don't know. It's tough because like it feels weird. You're not having De Gea. There's not many top goalies at that level on the market, is there? Really?
Not really.
And there hasn't been for a while. Like I think Donnarumma was the last one. Really.
The only keeper we've got on the books at the minute is Tom Heaton because Butland's gone to Rangers now. Henderson's almost definitely going to be sold to Nottingham Forest. I still don't know how much.
Yeah, I think
we're
that's
gonna get
here we go now from Fabrizio.
Yeah. So Onana's going to be coming in, and what he offers that David De Gea doesn't is, like we saw in the Champions League final, he can come into the midfield and play the ball.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that from a keeper, like apart from Edison. Edison's the only other
Neuer
keeper I've
could
seen
do it
do
a little bit
Neuer can
back
do
in
it.
his prime.
He's the OG. He invented sweeper keepers.
Exactly.
David De Gea just hamstrung us with his inability to pass the ball. It was ridiculous.
Awful with his feet.
I remember the Brentford game last season when we lost 4-0. I don't really want to talk about it.
I love that game.
We lost 4-0. The amount of Mark Goldbridge clips that came.
And I swear, like
incredible.
the first 3 goals were just down to him, pretty much. Like,
Basically,
it was a poor defending as well.
One
You were
was sort of a
starting Maguire, weren't you?
miscommunication with him and Maguire. One was a miscommunication with him and Eriksen. But ultimately, if he didn't take so long to play a simple pass,
Wasn't that before you got Martinez as well?
yeah,
Cause
it was
came
before we
back
got
a bit
Martinez.
later,
I think it was before we got Casemiro as well. And it was just a horrible array of things. Of David De Gea is not able to pass the ball. He's playing Eriksen as a 6. Awful. And we got absolutely pummeled. If we have someone like Onana who can take the ball out of his box and can pass the ball around, he can give us another option. You basically got 11 on 10. It's 10 players trying to press 11 on the ball at that point, and it's it gives you such a big advantage. And I think that's why so many teams have seen success, like Arsenal now. Like you've got Ramsdale, who can't necessarily do what Onana and Edison can do, but he can play long balls to start
he's
attacks
comfortable
from.
with passes, yeah.
Exactly, he can play those long balls over the top, like quick transition, similar
And when
to
you've got
Alisson's
wingers
sort of thing.
like Martinelli and Saka as well,
Yeah,
and even like say the midfield 4 of, the top 2 of it of Havertz and Odegaard, all of them
exactly.
players can get on the end of a long ball.
Yeah, exactly. So if you've got Ramsdale who can play a long ball, that's absolutely perfect for what Arteta wants to do. He's competent with a short pass as well. Onana is, I'd say, more competent at sort of short passing, coming in and joining the play a little bit, getting players involved. But if you've got Rashford and Antony run, and if we can sign a striker with pace,
Yeah.
then
Or something
that
about
is
him.
that
At
is
least.
dangerous. Speaking of which, we are definitely looking at a striker. If you had to suggest someone, just off the top of your head, no pressure, who would you say would be perfect for Man United at this point in time?
A perfect striker for Man United. Ooh.
Because there's expensive options, there's sort of mid-range options.
There's a couple names that spring to mind, but I think you've tried going in for him before. But I think Vlahovic, Abraham maybe that kind of striker.
Yeah, Ten Hag loves that kind of striker.
And as well, I think the Serie A breeds them kind of strikers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect place for them to go before they come to a club like that are like Man United.
Yeah, the striker that we're most closely linked to at the minute is Rasmus Højlund from Atalanta. He's 19, maybe 20 now. He's scoring goals for fun in Italy. He's getting comparisons with Haaland, not just because of the name, but also because he's quick and tall at the same time. Is basically the bare bones of it. That's why he's getting compared to him.
Yeah.
I'm not completely sold on that one. It'll cost probably 40 to 50 million.
It's a bit of a shot in the dark, isn't it?
A little bit. It's a very high risk transfer.
Yeah, I think that Kolo Muani from like he did well in the World Cup.
Very
It'd
well.
be a good shout, but it's again it's another shot in the dark sometimes going for a player who's only been good.
See,
you know, like when you hear of players coming from the World Cup and they always
Yeah.
get that move, Harry Maguire. They always get that move after the World Cup,
Yeah.
and then
No need for that. The Maguire slander is incredible. I mean, he sort of deserves it. I think Kolo Muani is the one that I would put forward as just sort of the perfect shout. He's tall, so he's sort of similar to Højlund and Gonçalo Ramos, who are linked to as well. He's a threat in the air, which Ten Hag really likes. He played a striker like Huntelaar at Ajax and stuff like that. He loves big, tall strikers. Sebastian Haller as well.
Huntelaar. Bloody hell.
Yeah, fucking big strikers at Ajax. So he loves a bit of height, someone who can sort of just stretch a defence. He's quick, so the defence needs to sort of watch out. They can't play too high a line. But what Kolo Muani offers that I don't think any of the others do is just like the amount of assists he's gotten in the Bundesliga is crazy for a striker.
Yeah.
So he can drop back and sort of allow Rashford and Antony to get forward.
I think there is a mix of like a new wave of strikers coming forward, and I think there's kind of two sides to the coin where it's like they're either that they've got the height and like Harry Kane and Kolo Muani, or kind of that kind of player where they can drop back, or is it like a Firmino, Jesus kind of dropping back and like getting involved in the build up rather than just dropping back and letting the wingers go forward.
Exactly, and the reason I think this would be perfect for United is, like you said, most of these like mid-range strikers which we're going to have to go for are sort of shots in the dark and they're risks. But if you can find someone who gets the best out of the players you already have, that's not much of a risk. So if we can just put emphasis on getting Rashford and Antony involved, and I think we can do that with Kolo Muani.
I think it's not much of a risk as well. It's not as much as a risk as going in for a big name as well. Because I think Man United, I mean, you've gone for big names in the past, and sometimes it can, well, it depends on the price tag, doesn't it? But I think someone with less, what I'm referencing is like, you know, Ighalo when he came.
Ighalo.
There's no expectation.
No
really.
expectation.
You're just like, we've signed Ighalo, and it turned out to be. Unfortunately, it didn't happen with Weghorst, but he is just crap, isn't it? Really. Like,
watching Weghorst play is like watching McTominay play at striker.
Yeah, it's
do you know what I mean? He
absolute donkey.
When we were playing him at number 10 against Liverpool, it was just a complete mess. Like, I get that Ten Hag likes having that out ball because David De Gea just cannot play short passes, so he likes having that big tall player that David De Gea can just punt it along to.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out. And off the ball, Weghorst is elite. Like, off the ball, he presses so much, but obviously you're not going to sign a striker just because of
how good he
pressing.
Is off the ball.
Exactly. You need them to offer something, and that's what Weghorst didn't. He was just sort of a stopgap until we were able to get sort of a bigger name striker. And the reason we had to go for Weghorst is because our budget is apparently next to nothing.
Yeah.
And the Glazers are sort of pushing it into the media now that it's FFP.
The thing is as well, like, you've not really got, like, a lot of your players have gone down in value as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we can't even really sell to buy. Like, we're gonna have to try and clear out Maguire, who's going to.
You could probably sell to buy, but you're still going to be losing money.
Yeah, exactly.
Internally, cause exactly. Like Maguire, you bought for 80. Yeah. Sancho, like 80, 70.
Yeah. So I think the ideal for this summer, if we want to afford the players that we want, because we're not going to be able to afford Osimhen and Kane either way because of our ownership situation with the Glazers. If we got new owners in before the summer, we might have been able to do that, but it's just an absolute piss take how long they've taken with it. They did that third round of bidding, just made it way longer than it needed to be. They already had the bidders there, and they just thought, no, I want you to bid more. And it's so infuriating just to see that happen. But so we're going to need an absolute summer clear out, and there's players that are obviously going to move, like Henderson, Williams, Telles, Bailly, players that are obviously going to go. But the main talking points are Martial and Sancho. Those are the players that some Man United fans want gone. Do you think it's beneficial to sell them rather than having them on the books? Do you think we should be offering them out?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I do get a bit worried sometimes when managers just get the foundations of the club straight away. Like, I feel it's a bit weird, like Chelsea, how they've got rid of just all the building blocks of that team. I find it a bit weird.
Yeah.
But, I mean, sometimes you do have to just get rid of dead wood. Like, I don't know, like, I think it's a bit similar to Arteta when he came in. Like, when we finally had a decent, I mean, I know we only came 8th or whatever, but like when we won the World Cup, the FA Cup.
Yeah.
After that, we were like, right, now we need to look at this. Let's get rid of this person, get rid of these. Otherwise, we're not gonna get further than 8th. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think the thing with Ten Hag is he really likes Martial as a striker. He really wants to be patient with Sancho. But the problem with Martial is you can't rely on him, always injured. The problem with Sancho is, like, how long are we going to have to wait before he comes good?
I think the problem with Martial as well is that does he even know if he's a 9 or like a 11 on the wing or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think even he doesn't know what he is.
I think selling them could free up, like, they're I think the only 2 players we're really selling who have value. To like proper value. Like, we could sell Martial and Sancho for a combined 70-80 million if we really wanted. I'm surprised.
And I think
Newcastle
clubs. I was going to
Sancho,
say, I think Newcastle and clubs like that, Villa maybe would sniff around Martial or Sancho.
Players like teams
Newcastle
that would
and
just pay that money.
Villa do need a winger, to be fair.
Yeah, Villa need some wingers. Newcastle are dying for a right winger. It's amazing that they haven't managed to sign one yet.
I think they might have something big in the books.
You never know.
They've got something coming.
I mean, they seem to always do.
I think they should have gone for that Solomon, to be honest. I can't believe he's ended up at Spurs.
He's ended up at Spurs.
That's a good signing for them.
Fantastic signing on a free transfer as well. Is incredible business, that signing. And it'll be interesting to see where he plays for Postecoglou.
Yeah, he could play across the free, couldn't he? Really,
he could definitely
play
across
behind
the
as a 10.
Yeah,
but is it like I say, he likes to use the 2 centre mids going forward, doesn't he? Like you were saying.
Yeah.
So I think he could do a backup Maddison role as well.
Yeah.
As well, like, I think he could be all over for them.
Yeah. And
quite a versatile one.
You mentioned in there Maddison moving for 40 million, something like that, is a weird transfer because you would have thought he'd want to go to Newcastle.
Yeah, I can't believe he hasn't gone to Newcastle, to be honest.
Yeah.
Spurs haven't got Champions League football. I don't think there's. I think it's too uncertain to just join right now with Postecoglou. Like, I think it is looking good. And I think he's probably the best shot they've had in a while. Because I don't think it's not Spurs' identity to go for Conte, Mourinho.
Exactly, yeah.
They're
They completely got that
Spurs
mixed
managers,
up.
Yeah,
because they need instant success. Spurs don't.
I think it is just Daniel Levy or whatever, Levy. I think he is just a poor owner, to be honest.
Maybe Conte and Mourinho could have worked if he didn't mix up the transfer policy with them, because Conte and Mourinho will expect short-term success and he bought long-term players like Bissouma.
He's trying to buy a project,
He's trying to build a project with a short-term manager, and that doesn't. And I think that's why Postecoglou could be a really
because he could be about for 6, 7, 8. You know,
exactly.
He could be one of them type of managers.
Really sneaky move. He's going to play a lot more attacking football as well. And I think that's why Maddison might have chosen Spurs, is simply because he knows that potentially with Kane leaving and because their midfield is a bit of a mess, you know, moving from back 3 or whatever, he's nailed on, and he's going to be one of their most important players. He's going to be their main creative outlet. Speaking of which, I think it's probably better for Kane to move for both parties. I
it's
think
time.
The money
It's time to go.
It's time to go.
I think it is though. Like, I think it's getting a bit silly now, isn't it? Like,
it is getting silly.
And I don't think like what Spurs are doing, their project, I don't think it's right for Harry Kane either.
No,
not anymore. It was when he was 22.
It was,
you know what I mean?
definitely.
But it's not now.
I think it might be the better move for Spurs. To be honest,
I think it's right for him to like be under a manager like Mourinho and Conte, but he shouldn't be at a club like Spurs. That's the difference. Like, because Postecoglou, I think they're doing everything right with Postecoglou, but I don't think it. As much as Postecoglou said Kane's in his plans, I don't see that working out very well.
No. I mean, Kane could score a lot of goals himself under Postecoglou. Yeah. He's a guaranteed goal scorer, but for the team, I'm not sure if it will work out.
No, I don't think it's going to be much different.
Because he's going to have, because Postecoglou is going to want Kane to share the goals a bit more, and Kane is very much a goal scorer. And if he stays in the Premier League, he's going to be wanting to go for that record, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard to get the best out of the team with Kane.
Bayern have put the offer in there, haven't they? And I think. Yeah. As much as he should stay in the Prem for the record, I think he would be a bit silly to take it to say no. I think it shows a bit of lack of ambition, if anything, doesn't it? Like, it's just like, come on, if you're not going to take that opportunity, you're hopeless, mate. You know what I mean?
Because Bayern have so many quality players, they're Champions League heritage as well. They could 100% challenge Europe.
They're guaranteed pretty much to win the league every year. You know what I mean? They'll either win the cup or the league every single year.
If you want guaranteed. If you want to be guaranteed to win things, you have to go
without
to
playing for PSG or something. You know,
exactly. But Bayern Munich is just an absolute.
Because it's still an alright league, Bundesliga. Yeah. It's still top 3, I'd say, top 4.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, Mane went there completely set like away from all of our expectations, Mane went to Bayern Munich.
Exactly, and I think has Firmino been confirmed to go to Barca now? Actually,
Firmino's gone to Saudi. He's gone
Has
to
he?
Yeah, I think he's gone to Al Hilal.
I saw it. He was
wanna say.
Bayern and Barca were sniffing around as well. I thought
They were, but players are choosing.
I thought
Saudi
they came quite
nowadays.
close, but yeah, Saudi must have come in with the money.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I think the money that Spurs would get for Kane, as well, considering that they need probably some new fullbacks, because their wing backs will probably, you'd think, wouldn't work in a back four.
Yeah, Perisic isn't well. He's not even really a defender, is he?
No.
So
In
a back four.
I think Perisic is a good left winger for Postecoglou. I think
he's a good up and down. Like if you put, it depends how they play. I don't. Postecoglou doesn't really use that kind of fullback, does he?
No.
He's very
not
just
really.
Like almost four like centre backs, just a back four.
Well, he sort of likes his fullbacks, his midfielders, and his wingers to sort of be a similar kind of player, because he likes them rotating with each other.
Yeah.
So he sort of wants them all to be creative players rather than what Perisic would be as a fullback, which is he would be creative, but he wouldn't be linking up with players. He'd be very much a left winger at fullback.
It's not like a good mix. It's just you're just chucking him there.
Yeah, exactly. Like the fullbacks that Postecoglou had at Celtic, he just doesn't have at Spurs. They're going to need another centre back as well, maybe one or two. They're going to need some new midfielders.
I know. I feel weird about their defence because Romero or whatever his name is, he is a really good. Like he was a really good signing last year.
Yeah.
And I think despite how they weren't that great last year, I think he did have a really decent season.
Yeah.
So I think him partnered up, whether it's in a 2 or a 3 at the back,
Yeah.
I think if you find the right, because he's left-footed as well, isn't he? Is he left-footed?
I don't think Romero is. No.
Romero, was he not? Oh no, because it would have been him and Martinez, wasn't it? In the
Yeah, but I mean, Romero is locked in for them. Postecoglou might want Ben Davies as a centre back. I'm really not sure.
Yeah,
though.
I think he was never really had it, was he? But he's definitely passed now. Bloody hell.
They're going to need another, I think, probably 2 centre backs. In an ideal world, they're probably not going to have the budget for it. And their midfield is going to be weird. Their midfield is probably going to be Bissouma or Bentancur, and then you'd think it'd be Maddison and then someone else in the 8 role. It might just be those 3: Bissouma, Bentancur, and Maddison.
Does he keep Skip? I don't know. I don't
Maybe
know
he
if
can do
Oliver
something
Skip
with
stays
him.
in there. Yeah, maybe. I think he should go on a loan, to be honest, to a smaller club. Like I think Bournemouth, they need a CDM. I think he'd be good
that
there.
could be a really good
in.
move.
Yeah.
That could be a really good move.
Because they've just got rid of Lerma, haven't they, to Palace? So.
Yeah, exactly. They're crying out for someone.
Yeah, they
like
need
that.
a CDM.
Højbjerg could just be completely out of the reckoning now for Spurs, which is weird considering last season, a lot of the times when I watched Spurs, he was almost their standout player.
Yeah, and when he came in from Southampton, it was quite an exciting move as well.
I really wanted him at Man United, but
Yeah.
the more I've seen of him at Spurs, it's clear that he's not very good on the ball. He's very much a destroyer, and he can surge forward. Sort of like a diet Casemiro.
Yeah.
Like it's a bit weird with him. He's probably going to fall out of the reckoning. Same with Porro, potentially Son, and I know people aren't going to like it, but I'm not sure if Son can play as Postecoglou wants him to, have the same profile as a fullback and a centre midfielder.
Yeah.
Son would probably, you'd think, if Kane left, Son and Richarlison would be the 2 strikers, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I think that could work. I mean, Son, I remember in 2016-17, Kane was injured, and Son played up top quite a lot that season, and he was really, really good.
Yeah.
So I think it could work. And I remember they tried it in a 2. Who was that Dutch striker they signed that year? The backup. They had a Dutch striker. They signed him that year, back up to Kane. I swear, was he Dutch? I don't know.
I'm sure he was Dutch. I'm thinking of Bastos, but it's not Bastos.
No.
Bloody hell! This is really going to annoy me. Hang on. Let's Google it. His name is slipping. I'm thinking of.
I'm thinking of
Michael
Vinicius
Vaughan as well.
Oh yeah, Vaughan. Yeah. That Vinicius is Brazilian. Isn't it?
I'm just thinking of Dutch Spurs players, and they definitely did sign someone.
Who was that striker they had?
Vincent Janssen.
Oh yeah.
Janssen.
Janssen.
That's the one.
Fucking hell.
That
I remember
is-
them trying to do
yeah.
a 2 with Son. I think Son, it could work in a 2 maybe, but
Yeah, I think it will probably have to be Richarlison and Son potentially rotating with that striker spot, and then you think it'd be Solomon on the left, Kulusevski on the right.
Yeah.
Something like that, and I think that really, really works. If Kane stays, I think it might just mess up a lot of what Postecoglou wants to do long term, which is a weird thing to say with a player as good as Harry Kane.
I do like the sound of that, though, to be fair. Son and Richarlison, and then having Solomon and
Kulusevski,
or
yeah.
whoever.
See, and one thing I also just to finish on Spurs, Pedro Porro. I was really excited about him mainly because of FPL, because he's a really attacking wing back, and he was listed as a defender. But I do think he would be more of a right winger, and I'm not sure if he's actually going to find a place to fit in, because he's not your ideal fullback, not your ideal.
I think he
winger.
might.
Maybe,
I think
maybe
that's maybe why he
midfielder.
works under Postecoglou, because, like you were saying,
Yeah.
he likes his wingers and fullbacks, midfielders, to all have the same sort of skill set.
Yeah.
So I think maybe, I don't know where, but I think he could fit in somewhere.
Maybe in the
Postecoglou
midfield,
team.
if they're crying out for a midfielder, maybe you can shove Porro there.
Yeah,
See what
exactly
happens.
that. Yeah, I think he could play a similar role to Hoiberg. I don't think he's just physically strong.
No,
but I think he makes up for it with his speed.
Yeah.
He's definitely quicker.
I think he could give them some kind of advantage. Well, you know, the way Trent plays in midfield for Liverpool. Obviously, he starts at right back, and Porro will be starting in the midfield.
Yeah.
But it's a similar thing where he can start in the midfield, take it out wide, allow someone to come inside, and whip a ball in the box. I think it could be really good. Speaking of Trent, Liverpool, they have signed some players.
Yeah,
And
finally.
as much as everyone loves to say Klopp is, transfer genius, he got Salah for what, 30 million. He's shrewd with his business.
Klopp's past it.
Klopp
I'm
is
telling you.
stubborn, and that is I think Klopp is entirely to blame for the season Liverpool had last season. The fact that Liverpool fans,
100%.
the fact that anyone is trying to say, oh, it was the players, Fabinho just fell off. Fuck off. It was 100% just Klopp being stubborn, because football evolved and he didn't evolve with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Teams figured out how to...
All the other teams, changed. Even Newcastle, every team in the league, we all surpassed them.
Yeah.
And I think he only clocked on last minute, really. Which was worrying. And
Teams really figured out how to...
he should have known
attack.
last summer that his midfield was not good enough to challenge for even a top four, clearly.
Teams really figured out how to attack against a team where both your fullbacks are pushing forward. And what they did was they targeted Trent's side, because he just doesn't have the recovery pace of the fullbacks do.
Exactly.
And
or the defensive ability, really, to be honest.
And then it took him until, the last, maybe, being generous, 8 games or something, to finally go to a back three, Robertson, Konate and Van Dijk, push Trent in the midfield, and keep the ball and pass around the ball.
That's
and
right. I think they need to buy a left side centre back. I think, because
they really need a left centre back. Yeah.
Like, bring him in late on in the game. Take Robertson off and bring on a left sided centre back.
Yeah.
And then say you need a goal, bring on a left. I know it sounds a bit weird taking Robertson off when you need a goal, but you bring on that left sided centre back, so you're completely solid at the back, and you can just let Trent absolutely do what the fuck he wants. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because you've got that solid 3 centre backs instead of Robertson.
Yeah. If they can get someone like that, I think who would have been perfect is Gvardiol, Leipzig.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
City weren't interested in it, he is absolutely what they need. There's a couple of other options as well, and obviously Klopp will find someone in the fucking Danish second division to fill that role or whatever. Because, I mean, as much as I said he wasn't a transfer genius, he does find weird players like that. And again, transfer genius, but he spent 100 million on 2 players.
Yeah, and
it's a bit much, innit, for Szoboszlai and McAllister.
I don't know how I feel about Szoboszlai as well. Like, I think he might be a bit overhyped a bit by Liverpool fans.
Maybe a little bit.
I do think he's a really good player, and he can play on a. I think he does deserve to play in, like, Europe. I'm not going to say Champions League, but Europe.
Yeah. He's definitely a European player, like a Champions League level player.
Yeah.
But it's just 70 million does just feel a little bit. I guess in this
and he's
market,
not exactly got a
it's fine.
CV, has he? You know what I mean? He's not.
In this market, it's fine, and some of the goals he scored from like outside the box or whatever are crazy. There was one he scored for Hungary. I think you showed me it, where he sort of like worked the ball into the box with someone, played like a 1-2.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Like he's clearly a guy with talent. Big teams were looking at him
and
since
I think
he was at
a top manager.
Salzburg.
Him working under a top manager could be something like
Really
when Nagelsmann was at Leipzig.
Yeah.
He was really good under him. I'm pretty sure.
And
that was when they played PSG, right?
I mean, I don't really want to talk about McAllister because it's boring. 35 million, we know he's a good player. We know what he's going to do at Liverpool.
You're getting what you pay for, really, with 35 million.
It's one of those boring signings where it's just sort of obviously good. It's like when Man United got Varane. No one was really speaking about it because it's like, Well, yeah, he's a good signing.
Yeah.
Like, you
McAllister,
know what he's gonna do.
35 mil. You pay what you get for.
Yeah,
I think it's
exactly.
It's just fine.
I think. Well, I just think he's obviously an amazing signing for that price because
Yeah.
you know what he's going to do. But this new style midfield that they've got, which we touched on earlier, it is Fabinho, Trent, and then if you've got McAllister and Szoboszlai, like we saw last season, Curtis Jones towards the end of the season got involved in a lot of goals, a lot of assists, and it's not because he's necessarily an amazing player, but it's because the system works that way. If you've got Szoboszlai doing that, you're on to a winner, I think.
Alongside McAllister as well.
Yeah, exactly. They've still got work to do in the transfer window, though.
Yeah.
They still
definitely.
need someone
I think
to come
Calvin
back on
Ramsey,
track.
him going on loan to Preston, I mean, not that he was really filling a fucking spot, but I do think they need another right back, especially with Trent being not really a right back. You know,
Yeah.
I do think they need someone that they can bring in late on in a game,
Yeah.
even if it's like we were saying with the left-sided centre back. Even if they just
Yeah.
do that, but on the right.
Yeah, because I think if you're just forcing Robertson to play as sort of that third centre back, you're sort of missing what he's
Yeah,
about.
that's why I think that they could have used Gomez better. You know, I mean, I think they could have used Gomez better last
That's
year.
so annoying. We were saying this for so long last year,
Yeah.
and Leo wasn't really buying it. Where against Man City, I remember when Liverpool beat them 1-0. Joe Gomez was so good in that game where they were able to keep Haaland
Yeah, and
quiet.
as well, I remember right at the start of the season when they played Arsenal and Trent was crap in the first half. They took him off at half time, didn't they?
Yeah.
And brought on Joe Gomez, and he solidified their defence straight away.
Again, it's sort
And
of
it
like the
allows
Curtis Jones
Robertson
thing.
to be more free.
And it is sort of like the Curtis Jones thing, where it's not necessarily because he's an incredible player, but it is just sort of the role he's playing. It gets the best out of Joe Gomez as a third centre back, allowing someone to get forward because he's quick, he can pass the ball. Obviously, Joe Gomez isn't a great player, but yeah, if they can get someone in of that profile, that'd be great. They still need someone to back up Salah.
Yeah.
They don't really have a right winger who can do
I know
that.
it's a shame with Minamino. I thought he could have done more there, but
Yeah,
is he still at Monaco now? He hasn't really popped anywhere else, has he?
I don't think so.
No.
He's really sort of gone missing since then. I think he would have been a really good backup for them, especially now. He would have developed a lot.
Yeah,
you would have thought.
It's annoying. I think he could have been given more time.
Definitely.
Like he had half a season on loan at a struggling Southampton as it was. You know, I don't.
And see now, one thing that I've noticed, right, is Klopp's model. We're seeing him sort of take a little bit of a turn now. But Klopp's model, when he was building up his side, was very much we're going to get players who they might not be technically the best in the world, they might not be the greatest, but because they put in 100%, because they've got so much energy, the system that I put them in will allow them to be some of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen people go the Pep way, where he gets technically great players, they just hold on to the ball, keep possession. And we've seen Arteta replicate it, Xavi replicate it, but we haven't really seen anyone replicate what Klopp's doing until now, in my opinion, with Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
I think he's doing that.
Yeah, the way they're building, that's what I'm quite happy about it as well, because in a sense of they haven't just right we've got Saudi, let's just absolutely shit on everyone. So I mean, to be fair, they have got fourth, which is insane, but I genuinely think that is just down to football.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with the money, I don't think, really. I mean, obviously they've bought good players, but they've not really spent anything, have they?
Exactly.
Isaac for what was it, like 65, 70 was the biggest signing for them.
Yeah.
And I was quite shocked by that, but that's it. That's all they've blown out on.
Yeah.
Bruno G was a fucking great signing for cheap.
Incredible.
Willock, it's a shame about Willock because I think there's a player there, and like when he went on loan from Arsenal, he was really good for them. It's just when they actually signed him.
Yeah, he just seemed to.
But I still think there's a role for him to play there. I definitely think he has a place in that team somewhere.
Especially because he's quite versatile. You can put him in the midfield. You can put him on the wing.
Yeah, exactly. And as well as I don't know what they're going to do with their midfielder because it would have been so nice, wouldn't it? Like Bruno, Joe Linton, and Maddison, and they would have been allowed to free. It would have been a very free roam midfield, but I think it's nice now with Tonali. That's a great signing for them, Tonali.
Fantastic signing.
Because now they could have Joe Linton and Bruno as the 2/8s, if anything, and then just have an absolute powerhouse, but also quite a creative front two.
Yeah.
2/8s. They'd be quite creative, but also just tanks.
And no disrespect, but I think the dream for them now is that they might not ever have to see Sean Longstaff play again. And
Exactly.
it's nothing against him, because he seemed to play really well for Eddie Howe, because he puts.
I was just going to say, I think he puts a shift in. They're both Newcastle lads, aren't they? As well, so I think they're definitely playing with the.
Longstaff will have grown up in the academy and stuff.
They're definitely playing for the badge, and they'll definitely do for the team. But I just sometimes you just got.
But what Newcastle were missing, and I think one of the reasons definitely that they lost the final against us in the Carabao Cup was just squad depth. They had Bruno out, and they had to play Longstaff.
Yeah, as soon as that's why I'm still really impressed with their fourth, to be honest, because I'm surprised we get to the start of the season and they were doing well. Almiron got player of the month, didn't he, in the first month, and we're thinking, oh yeah, it's a nice boost. They've got a new manager boost, new owners boost, all that kind of crap. And then it just kept going and going and going, and all of a sudden they're in the Champions League in the first year for like God knows how long, and it's just insane.
Insane achievement. Now just back on Tonali for a sec, because I've seen Tifo Football Podcast, who are rivals, but it's a really good podcast. Unfortunately, which hurts, and they were speaking about Sandro Tonali. I think it was JJ Bull on there, or whatever his name is. He was speaking about how Tonali on the ball, not really anything special. He's competent, he can handle the ball, he can pass the ball, deep line playmaker, whatever. But again, it's another Eddie Howe player where a lot of what he offers is off the ball, and he's going to be able to keep going for a lot. His defensive positioning is sound. He's just going to be really stable. He's just going to be a steady Eddie in the midfield.
For Eddie.
Yeah, exactly. Steady for Eddie, which is, for 70 million, maybe seems a bit steep, but he's going to do that role better than anyone else.
Yeah, and I think they're spending their 70 million smart as well. Like if you look at other clubs who spent 70 million on players, Pepe. I mean, we spoke about Anthony Nunes and whoever earlier. They've spent 70 on Isaac, 70 on Tonali. We know that he could have paid more for them. Like we know that they're worth that.
Yeah, we
know what they've done. We know what they can do.
Yeah, because they've done it in a big league
in leagues,
and in the Champions League.
Exactly. I think like Anthony Nunes, they were proven in Portugal and Netherlands, but even then, were they really like Nunes was good for a year? Yeah. 100 million is
those two did it in the Champions League as well. It's just if you're playing in a league for a certain amount of games and you're playing at a certain intensity, and then you come to the Premier League where every single game is so much harder. Yeah. It just gets quite a lot for them. It looks like
World Cup hype as well. Always brings it nice.
Oh my God.
Well, sorry, Euros. I mean, as well. It was Euros, wasn't it, before last summer?
Yeah. Yeah. It looks like they're closing in on Livramento for 12 million. Newcastle.
Yeah, that could be a great sign. I kind of wish Arsenal were going for him, to be honest.
Yeah, you do still sort of need a right back.
Yeah, and I think we were looking at Ben Johnson actually.
From
West Ham, who plays a similar role to Timber and White anyway, right?
Yeah. He used to be a centre back for West Ham. Yeah. He got a couple of minutes. It was either last season or the season before.
I think he got some minutes at centre back for the under 21s or whoever just won the whatever age. Livramento is a perfect signing for Spurs. Yeah. For Newcastle.
But 12 million is... I get that Southampton were relegated, but this is a guy who, when Southampton were in the Premier League, when he first came through, he was considered one of the best young right-backs just in Europe.
Weren't he in team at season in his first season, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
He was English. Well, he still is English.
Yeah,
but,
he was English.
He was English. He's English, so you'd think, maybe, 30, 40 million is probably what about he's worth. They're getting him for 12.
Yeah, that's the right steal, to be fair.
That is
a
crazy.
And he's going to bring more value than 12 million easily. So I don't think there's going to be any expectation problems here.
Because don't get me wrong, Trippier is absolutely amazing, but he can't keep playing forever.
No.
And as much as Livramento isn't Trippier,
and I think having Livramento under Trippier as well, perhaps could be a
great
really
mentor to have.
Yeah,
someone who's
exactly.
been at Euros
Trippier
finals,
is arguably best
stuff like that.
right back in the league. If not, he probably is, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. And learning from him is going to be absolutely great for him. They are very different players. I think Trippier's crossing is almost unrivaled in the Premier League, apart from maybe Trent or whatever you want to say. Livramento isn't necessarily that right back. But again, he is an engine.
Yeah, and
on the ball he's
right
fine
back as well, because I don't think Trippier wasn't always that kind of right back as well. I think Trippier, the difference with Trent and Trippier is Trippier's got the same as Trent with like the attacking, but his defence is so solid.
Yeah, because he's learnt from Sean Dyche.
Yeah.
He's learnt from
That's why I think
solid managers.
Livramento is already quite solid defensively. If he can learn from Trippier, and obviously Eddie Howe's coaching Trippier.
Yeah.
If they can learn from those two, I think he could become a really, really solid right back.
Trippier had to learn from managers like Sean Dyche and Diego Simeone when he was at Atletico Madrid, and now Eddie Howe, who all emphasise so strongly the importance of having a solid defence, who all emphasise intensity, working, putting in 100% for every ball. You can't, for a second, take your eyes off anything.
Yeah.
I think that is what has made Trippier such an all-rounded player and has allowed him to sort of almost like explode last season with the amount of assists he was getting and stuff like that. He was, and he's on all their set pieces.
Yeah, he's the captain as well.
He's the captain. Yeah. If he can learn from Kieran Trippier, he's undoubtedly going to be. You know, he already has.
He's got a great trajectory.
Exactly, he's got a really good career ahead of him. And then just to compare, like we were saying, the Klopp model of players who will work. They're not necessarily the best technical footballers, but they will work really, really hard. The system will allow to get the best out of them. If you just compare them side by side, Pope and Alisson were signed at very similar times in their sort of trajectory. Pope isn't nearly as good as Alisson at passing, but he offers a lot of stability. Botman and Van Dijk, very similar signings.
Yeah.
Really, really similar signings. Trippier and Trent is obviously an obvious comparison. Liverpool already had Trent.
Yeah.
But similar players.
And similar, like method of bringing them through. Yeah.
But Bruno and Fabinho, like it seems like, especially when these signings were made, they are sort of Eddie Howe is sort of following that plan.
Yeah.
You know, and you think of someone like Dan Burn, potentially sort of like a James Milner signing. He's not a great player, but in the dressing room as a leader and everything like that, Dan Burn is absolutely amazing.
And he's a hometown boy, isn't he, as well? So he's always gonna want to play for Newcastle. You know what I mean? Exactly.
He's incredibly solid. Like he's never gonna let off.
Just a great player to have in the squad, because I don't think he'd be unhappy being on the bench either. Yeah, like I say, he's a Newcastle boy, isn't he?
I mean, you'd think as well Newcastle would probably be looking at another left back. They've been linked with Kieran Trippier, not Kieran Trippier, Kieran Tierney, who would be really
be a great signing. But I don't want to let him go.
Really?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we should let. It depends.
Even with Zinchenko.
I think if we bring Tavares back, Zinchenko and Tavares, I think we could probably let Tierney go.
Yeah.
But Tavares and Tierney, I don't know. It's a tough choice.
Tavares is still a bit of an unknown. I mean, he wasn't really great for you when he was playing. He
wasn't amazing for Marseille last year, but he's got some Champions League experience.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you can chuck him in there
more
next
experience
year.
under his belt. Like I just think if you've got players, especially like Arsenal, still even qualifying for the Champions League, they still don't have a great amount of money simply because you still got debt from previous transfers, like spaffing money on stupid players like Pepe and stuff like that. And then you even spent quite a bit on like Ben White and stuff like that. You've still got quite a bit of debt. To sell someone like Kieran Trippier, I keep doing that. Kieran Tierney. To sell someone like that who's a really good value, it's going to be really helpful.
Yeah, it'd be good. And if, like we were talking about earlier, if we can get rid of Nketiah or Balogun, I mean Balogun will bring in some money definitely.
But as much as no one's like doubting they're good players, they're players of value that you can sell.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world getting rid of them.
Exactly,
we can replace them and
they're
improve.
Replaceable. Well, speaking of replacing, that was awful. That's such a horrible segue.
Speaking of replacing,
speaking of the whole concept of replacing, Ilkay Gundogan needs to be replaced, and he has been. He has been with Kovacic. Good.
Yeah. It's just a bit boring, isn't it? It's just a bit
boring.
They've kind of just gone for a like change, really.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think Kovacic offers as much going forward.
Chelsea
in terms of like goal scoring, but I think everything else, I think they've hit the nail on the head, really.
Chelsea are thick, by the way. Todd Bowley, I don't know what the bloody fuck he's doing, because he's left them. Previously, Chelsea's midfield was what they had: Enzo Fernandez, N'Golo Kante.
Yeah.
They had Conor Gallagher, who wasn't even starting for them. They still have players like Ruben Loftus-Cheek and stuff like that, but Kovacic was always such a good player.
I know, and I love all the Chelsea fans online saying fucking like gloating about them making money and stuff. It's like, why do you care about like what the club? What do they earn? Like, it's just some billionaire getting money. It's just weird as fuck. Like, Unless you know what it's going into, like it's going back into a player or something.
Yeah.
Then I don't really see
It's so
the enjoyment.
It's so crazy to me that they would get rid of someone like Kovacic. I get that there's only so much money you can get from Koulibaly and Aubameyang and Mendy and stuff like that. There's only so much money you can raise from stinkers, but they've already sold Havertz and Mount. And Mount was one that people were really angry at.
Like
Why sell
going
Kovacic?
back to they were saying they've got rid of a lot of the building blocks of the team, like Mendy, Koulibaly, Kante, Mount, Havertz. It's like it's just, I don't know. It's like they were like the frame of the rest of the.
I think especially Mendy not necessarily, Koulibaly not really, but I do get what you mean. That they played those positions. It's the whole spine of their team has been weakened now, and also players like Kante and Mount, they were the building blocks.
Yeah,
like
exactly,
any players were, they were. And the one player I thought Pochettino would have loved because of what he did with Moussa Dembele, being like a number 8 who could like dribble from midfield and stuff, and he was great at that. Kovacic would have been absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
For Pochettino.
As well, like it's the players from the Champions League winning team as well, isn't it? Like Mount and Havertz. Well, they were the two who got the goal, wasn't it? Mount got the assist.
Yeah.
But like that Kante that season as well. Kante, Mount and Havertz in that Champions League winning side were crucial.
Yeah.
And I think it's weird to just let them go to, if anything, not only have they let them go, they've let them go to United and Arsenal.
Yeah.
And you just know that they're going to do well at both
exactly.
clubs. Like you just know that it's just
like they've raised a lot of money, but I
what
think
they're going to is Todd Bowley going to spaff it on Mudryk or something again?
That's what I was about to say. I think Chelsea fans would be a lot more comfortable selling Mount, Havertz and Kovacic if they felt comfortable that they knew Todd Bowley was going to spend the money well.
Exactly, but look who's bought so far. I mean, it's just atrocious.
But it's like if you look at like Liverpool, when they sold Mane and now that they're getting rid of Firmino and stuff like that, they're not really worried because they know that Liverpool are really good at replacing players and they know that their transfer strategy is sound. Chelsea fans are probably getting really angry because the players are going out and they have no idea who's going to come in and do what they did. And their whole midfield, they're going to have to build almost a whole new midfield around Enzo Fernandez.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be a really big ask of Pochettino in his first season to completely rebuild a midfield. It's
exactly.
crazy.
He's been left in a bit of a fire. Never mind. That was going to be a phrase there, but no, we're leaving it.
He was left in the fire. That's a great Dave song, by the way. That is a fantastic Dave song, In the Fire. Oh, I really want to listen to it now. That's a great song. Sorry, no, but Get's verse on that is disgusting. I wish I could just like inject that verse.
We've got the vinyl back there. We can put it on record.
Should we talk about the set, by the way? I feel like we've just sort of appeared here and we haven't really discussed what we've. It took us quite a while to build, but it's
got a few bits and bobs. Made my Player of the Season trophy down there.
Ooh.
Aidan didn't win it. I did. I'm the Player of the Season.
I got a participation trophy.
Yep. Yeah.
I participated.
I won it. I was the best.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
We got the primes in.
Cheeky primes.
Because we're 12.
Everyone loves prime.
All
the kids love it.
To be honest, don't tell anyone. We're putting this on the internet, but don't tell anyone. It's quite average, isn't it?
It is a bit
for £2 a bottle.
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of it.
It's not very good,
to be honest. But
yeah, we've got some greenery as well.
Greenery, yeah. Bit of plantage. We've got a torch.
We've got that's quite. I want to show this off, right? It's not Microsoft. I'm going to start that again. It's a Minecraft torch. But it's a water bottle.
What an invention!
Spiffing it. Look at that. Look at it.
I'm looking. It's world class, man.
No, I don't think you're looking at look at it. It's square. When have you ever seen a square?
Got very off topic here.
I don't fucking care. All right, if they made it this far, they can be rewarded.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Come on, look at that. Beautiful. Yeah, we've got a bit of greenery, your fucking awards, some books down there. It's fantastic. Speaking of books, Chelsea have got Nico Jackson on the books.
Oh.
There you go. Look, back on form. Nico Jackson, €35 million. We know fuck all about him.
Yeah, and we know he can play across the front three.
He's
that type of striker.
12 goals and 4 assists in La Liga last season. And one thing I got from looking at his FB ref, I feel so smart, like a football hippie saying that. I feel like an absolute genius. I looked at his FB ref. I looked at that, and his XG is really good. But you see that with players like Nunes and Jesus, that they get in the right positions
as well. Just Brighton
strikers. Yeah. Same with a lot of Chelsea strikers as well. Just Graham Potter strikers.
Yeah.
Is that they get a lot of expected goals, but they don't ever finish all the chances. They always underperform.
Yeah.
So I want to take Nico Jackson's expected goals in La Liga with a pinch of salt. But one thing that he had that a lot of strikers didn't is obviously because he's been playing out wide as well. He's got lots of progressive passes, lots of progressive carries. He dribbles a lot. He creates for other players. He gets other players involved. I'm really worried that this is a horrible signing because what they've been crying out for a while is a proper number 9.
Yeah,
and Todd Bowley's solution to that is someone who played a lot of his time on the wing last season.
Yeah, and like I said, they got Aubameyang, who's the same. It's the same sort of situation.
Same thing. João Felix when he was on loan as well.
I think Aubameyang is more of a 9 than most of them.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, he played on the wing a lot for Arsenal.
He played, yeah. He played. I remember one year in FPL, he played on the left so much he was listed as a midfielder, which was weird. But Nico Jackson, for me, it's so could go either way. He's a young player for 35 million euros. There's not much risk. It's not like he's done a Mudryk. He's not spent 150 million on Nico Jackson.
And this guy's more established than Mudryk. Like,
exactly.
What the hell is going on?
No, this guy's achieved more than Mudryk, and they've got him for a third of the price.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But 35 million euros for him, there's not much risk. So I wouldn't be too worried if I was a Chelsea fan. And I'm assuming, unless Todd Bowley is stupid, that he's going to sign another striker, so that all of it isn't just on.
Because I don't think Nkunku can be another. I just don't. I think you need to just use him differently.
He needs to be either a second striker or like an inside forward on the wings. That is where he's best. Maybe you could shove him in the midfield.
I think they just have to, even if it's not a starting 9. You know what I mean? Like make do with make use of Brozier or something like that.
Yeah.
Like they need someone who can just be a bully up top.
I think
even if it's bringing him on, like I say, even if he's not a starter.
I think David Datro Fofana, or whatever his name is, they got him from I can't remember, it was some Scandinavian league or something. He came in, he was there for a season, got a couple of minutes, wasn't very good. I think he might have scored once in the Prem, but they've loaned him out to Union Berlin, and I think that is very much a future striker, and I think that it's great that they finally got a long-term plan there. They're clearly building a squad for the next 8 years, even though they've spent a ridiculous amount of money on it. They're giving players 8-year contracts and whatever. I think Nico Jackson could be really good. Maybe Jackson and Fofana for the next few. Fofana's actually a proper number 9. We've covered Nkunku. Do you think Nkunku is like a guarantee, or do you think there's a chance it goes wrong?
Yeah, I still think there is a chance it goes wrong. I don't think he's completely well. I think he is established as a quality player. Like he's done it on a European stage.
Yeah,
but I think the Premier League is just different gravy, innit? You never know if someone's ready for the Premier League, because I don't think there's any league that prepares you for it. You know,
definitely.
So
this could be.
I think that's why I think players like Ibrahimovic worked well straight away in the Premier League, because he's played everywhere. He's got a taste of every bit of
taste of everything.
He's got his fingers in all the pies.
I mean, fucking hell. I mean, Haaland also just hit the ground running, but he's a robot.
He's a lizard. He's not real.
Nkunku, I mean, I think as a conspiracy theory, I think as far as conspiracy theories go, Haaland being a lizard is probably one of the more believable ones.
Yeah.
Who comes to the Premier League from the Bundesliga in the first season and breaks every record fucking made?
Yeah.
It is ridiculous, and he won a treble. Like,
that is actually unbelievable when you think about it.
Ridiculous. Like, strikers coming from the Bundesliga used to be, sort of like frowned upon. That's the wrong phrase, but you know what I mean. Like they used to be sort of, people used to be unsure of them, especially since Timo Werner, which was a nightmare for them. Because I think he was a good player, he just didn't do what they needed him to do. And I think maybe Nkunku, if they were playing him at striker, I'd be really worried. But I'm assuming they're actually going to use him properly. They're not going to misuse him like they did with Havertz.
They used Werner off the wing a lot as well.
Yeah.
Like Werner's good in the 2 up top, I think. Like when he was first at Leipzig, it was him and Poulsen, wasn't it? Like as the top. And that's when they came second that year, wasn't it?
I mean, I think a lot of Chelsea fans look at Frank Lampard's time at Chelsea with rose-tinted glasses, but I think a lot of the reason that they were they were stinky is because Lampard did not get the best out of them. He misused Havertz, he misused Werner,
and he spunked all the money on him straight away as well. I think because he didn't have because he had the transfer ban in the first season, he thought right now I need to buy Ziyech.
Yeah, he bought 2 transfer
Werner.
windows worth of players.
Yeah, and Ziyech, Havertz, Werner,
works.
they're all decent players in their rights, but they were all proven in they were all slightly proven, not actually.
You can't make up for lost time in a transfer window. Like, you can't say, oh, well, we should have got 3 last summer, so instead we're going to get 6 this summer.
Yeah.
You can't do that because it takes players the same amount of time to gel, and it takes players a certain amount of time to play with each other. And if they've, it was so weird how it was Havertz, and it was Werner, and then it was Thiago Silva, and it was Malang Sarr. Like, these were players that never had really any prior connection.
Yeah, for Fafana and stuff as well. Like, they never. Yeah. It's just, they don't have a solid Even the whole back line, to be fair, because Cucurella, they're just chucking a mix of players.
Chucking a mix of players, seeing if they work.
And put 3 managers in the season on top of that. It's just a mess.
This is where we get to comparing, compare like managers or strategies like that to Pep and Klopp, where even though their strategies are very much different, they're also similar in the sense that Klopp and Eddie Howe and stuff like that, they're getting players of a similar profile that all have similar mentality. They will all gel together. Same as Pep Guardiola. He's getting players that all have similar skill sets, and by extension, they'll probably have a similar way of playing.
That's why I'm quite worried about Chelsea as well. I don't think he's done a lot of profile checks, has he? It's very just Mudrik's done well in the Champions League. He must be good. Let's buy him. He's not looked at what he's done in the league. He's not looked at what kind of a guy he is.
I think from a manager's perspective, as much as you think, oh well, the manager should be intelligent enough to say no to that. If you're a manager and you're getting offered some of the best young talents in Europe, and your owner saying we can afford them and some, then why would you say no? If you have Mudryk on the table and your scouts are telling you he's an amazing player, why would you say no? Graham Potter does have to bear some of the blame for getting so many stinkers, signing off on a lot of stinkers. But if you're getting offered those players, you don't say no, do you?
Nah, surely not. Yeah.
I don't think we can put most of it on him. And then obviously we've covered as well Chelsea's absolute clear out. They've sold Mendy, Koulibaly, Azpilicueta, Kante, Kovacic, Loftus-Cheek, Havertz, Mount, Pulisic, and the transfer window is, we're not even really, it's still July.
Yeah, we're not even really in it.
They are going to probably be looking to sell more players, and
Lukaku as well on the way out for 30, 40 million
probably. You think Aubameyang's on the way out.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we'll just cover those two quickly then. What do you think is next for either of them?
Yeah, I think it's weird with Lukaku because that is the player they need. We've literally just been talking about how they need a big striker, but clearly it just doesn't.
It didn't work.
Clearly it just doesn't work. I mean, is he? I don't think he's in Poch's plans either. He's not that kind of. I don't think he's a Poch striker.
I mean, he's given them a deadline, which I think is in 4 days for those two to return to training if they want to be part of the squad.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it will happen. I mean, Lukaku has said he's not going to Saudi. He wants to stay in Europe and sort of try and establish himself again.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's going to work for him at Chelsea, and I think Inter Milan are really. It seems like they're reluctant to buy him because surely they would have done it by now, if they had the money and if they were really interested in Lukaku.
Yeah.
So I think maybe what's next for him is just finding somewhere else that in Europe. I just don't know where he goes. What club? Maybe PSG have the money, but it doesn't feel like he works for them.
I think it's got to be something like that. Maybe like a.
I mean, but Bayern Munich, maybe if they miss out on Kane, they get Lukaku.
Yeah, or maybe it's like a Sevilla move or something like that. You know, like that kind of thing, like a Sevilla, Villarreal. Maybe.
Yeah, it's just the wages with Lukaku, and
exactly. That's going to be the problem for clubs like that.
But I do feel like someone who will be willing to move to Saudi is Aubameyang.
He'll go to Saudi. Yeah.
He moved to Chelsea.
The camera ran out of memory, so you're just going to have to sit here and stare at our logo for about 2 minutes. Sit there and take it.
Oh, really? No?
Chelsea, definitely for money. I don't think there's much doubt. I know that he wasn't necessarily wanted at Arsenal. Arteta did make the decision to force him out. But I think he definitely... He went to Barca first. He goes where the money is. Because I think if he was really passionate about making the best of his career, he'd stay at Barca.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And he left as soon as they got. He was only there 6 months, wasn't
he? Yeah, he wasn't there for long. I mean, I don't know what's next for Chelsea, but I know what's next for this podcast, Luke.
Yeah.
We're going to end it.
We'll end it.
We're going to end it because my bum's sweaty.
We'll end it on what do you think is the best signing so far?
Oh, you can't put me on the spot like that. Just Premier League or in the world?
You can do it in the world, yeah. What do you think is the best signing so far?
I'll let you go first.
I'm going to be biased. I'm going to say Rice. I think
Rice.
that's going to be it. That's going to be the difference between us really, really challenging this year, I think. I think it's Rice.
I could be biased and say Mount, but I think just purely on value for money, I'll go McAllister.
Yeah, that's good.
I think just purely value for money. And if we're going just who's the best signing, it probably is Rice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good one.
For
It's a
money.
good one.
But yeah, I'll go McAllister. Well, thank you for watching. If you have watched this far,
Or if you're listening.
bloody, your attention span is shit. How have you not? Well, I'm speaking to someone who's not made it this far. Your attention span is great. All right, you've made it to the end, and you've got to hear how clammy my bum is. So that's fantastic because it's believe me, Luke, it's a clammy bum. So I guess we'll.
Right.
I guess we'll see you some other
next
time.
time.
Bye.